I was 11 the summer I stayed with my aunt and cousin in Riverside. My parents had just split, and Mom thought it would be good for me to have a break from the mess back home. It wasn't bad, hot as hell, but I liked the strip malls and palm trees. My cousin Diego was 12 and mostly okay, except when he was on his Xbox, which was always. We were supposed to go to Riptide Waterpark together on Saturday. His mom got us tickets, packed towels and sunscreen, and dropped us at the gate. But at the last second, like literally as we were getting out of the car, Diego refused to go in. He said he wasn't in the mood, which made zero sense, but my aunt just shrugged. "You'll be fine, Miguelito," she told me, waving me on. "Stay where the lifeguards can see you." It was my first time going to a water park alone. I remember being nervous for about 5 minutes. Then the excitement took over. The place was packed, screaming kids, sunscreen fumes, radio music blasting. I hit the lazy river, the wave pool, a few short slides. By noon I felt like a grown-up. I even bought my own chili fries and sat under a fake palm tree to eat them. The trouble started on the blue slide. It was called the Midnight Rush, a long, twisting enclosed tube slide painted solid navy. From the outside, it looked like a giant coiled hose. Inside, it was pitch black. I waited my turn, plopped on the mat, and pushed off. At first it was fun. Sharp turns, cold rushes of water, sudden dips that made my stomach lift. Then I hit a stretch where the water slowed. The sound changed, less rushing, more echoes. That's when I saw her. A shape, a person, sitting in the curve of the slide about 15 feet ahead of me, right in the dark. I didn't get a clear look. She was hunched, knees to chest, in a black swimsuit. Long wet hair hanging forward. And she was laughing. Not normal laughing. Not joyful. It sounded sick, broken, like it hurt to come out, but she couldn't stop. Just this high, rattling giggle on loop. I screamed, but it got swallowed by the curve of the slide. My mat bumped into her ankles, and she didn't move. For a second I thought she was hurt. But then she turned her head a little, just enough for me to catch her eyes, and the laugh changed. Sharper now, louder, right in my face. I shoved off her legs and pushed myself past. The slide spit me out a second later into the shallow pool, where a lifeguard stood bored, twirling a whistle. I scrambled out, heart racing, and turned to tell her. But no one came out after me. I told the lifeguard. He squinted up the slide, shrugged, and said, "Probably a kid stuck. Happens sometimes." "She was laughing," I said, like sitting still and laughing. He barely looked at me. "She'll come out." I dried off. Waited. 5 minutes passed. 10. No one came out of the midnight rush. I tried to stay calm. Told myself it was probably just some weird teenager messing with people. But after that, I couldn't enjoy anything. I stuck to the kiddie areas for a while. Sat in the shade. Debated calling my aunt. By 2 p.m. I was bored again. Against my better judgment, I decided to try another slide. One on the opposite end of the park. This one was called the Sidewinder. A bright red tube slide with fast turns and short drops. I waited, climbed the stairs, and sat down on the mat. This time I paid attention. The first part was fast and loud. But about halfway through, the turns got tighter. There were no lights inside the tube, just faint daylight from the seams. As I slid into a sharp curve, I saw her again. Same shape, same position, knees tucked up, hair dripping over her face. She was closer this time, maybe 8 feet ahead, and she wasn't laughing yet. I froze. The water kept pushing me forward. Then she tilted her head again, and the laughter exploded. Sharp, wet, too fast, like it was coming from her throat without her permission. I screamed and tried to grab the wall of the tube. My mat slipped out from under me. My foot kicked something. She reached. I swear to God. Her hand lunged at my ankle, and I felt her fingernails graze me. Sharp. Way too sharp. Then I was falling down the final drop, tumbling into the catch pool. This time I didn't stop to talk to anyone. I scrambled up and ran. I went straight to the locker room, locked myself in a stall, and sat on the toilet with my knees shaking. I checked my leg. My swimsuit was ripped, not torn from the slide, slashed, like with claws. For tiny lines traced over my thigh, just barely not bleeding. My whole body went cold. I waited 10, maybe 15 minutes before I left the stall. Outside, I hovered by the lockers. Tried to decide whether to call my aunt. The payphone was near the food court, and I'd left my phone at home. That's when I overheard the 2 workers. They were talking by the fence behind the snack shack. I heard one say, "Same damn complaint again. Woman laughing in the tubes. The other guy, older, sunburned, snorted. You're kidding. That's been happening for years. They banned some lady back in 2016, remember? You think it's her again? No clue. She never used to pass. Kept sneaking in somehow. Scared the hell out of people. Why'd they ban her? She wouldn't stop hiding in the slides. Just crouching in the dark, giggling. Kids complained, but she was always gone by the time security showed up. I ducked away before they saw me. That was it. I grabbed my towel, didn't even change clothes, and ran straight for the front gate. The staff at the exit gave me a weird look, barefoot, soaking, no guardian in sight, but I didn't care. I stood on the sidewalk outside for 20 minutes until my aunt finally came. I didn't tell her. I just said I got tired. She didn't ask questions, just cranked the AC and took me home. I never went back to that park. For months after, I had dreams, being stuck in a dark tunnel, hearing wet giggles echoing ahead of me. Always ahead, never far enough away. To this day, I avoid water parks. Not because I think I'll see her again, because deep down, I know I will. People say trauma makes you misremember things, that I probably imagined the scratches, that it was just a weird lady or a prank or heat stroke. But I felt her touch me. I felt those fingernails. And when I close my eyes, I can still hear her laugh. Not because it was loud, because it didn't stop. I was 7 when it happened. We were on holiday in Tenerife. My parents, my older sister, and me. It was one of those big family breaks people talk about for years afterward. Flights, hotels, matching towels. I remember the resort had sea turtles in a tank and an ice cream buffet I thought was magic. My sister was obsessed with dolphins. I was obsessed with the water park. Siam Park. That's what it was called. It looked like a Thai temple had crashed into a jungle and landed in a giant swimming pool. Slides that looped like roller coasters, plastic dragons spitting mist, music playing underwater. I'd never seen anything like it. That was our 3rd day in Tenerife, and we planned to stay all day. It was my favorite day, until I got separated from my parents. It wasn't even dramatic. No scream, no chase, no alarm. Just a moment, one moment, when I stopped walking and turned to look at a giant Komodo dragon statue, and when I turned back, they were gone. We'd been heading toward the lockers after the wave pool. My dad had our towels. My sister was annoyed about something, probably the sunblock. I remember it clearly. I crouched to fix my sandal, looked at the dragon statue with the fake waterfall behind it, then stood up and no one. The crowd moved around me like I was invisible. It didn't hit me right away. I just stood there, squinting through the blur of swimsuits and towels, thinking I'd spot Dad's hat. I didn't. I started walking. Just a little. The wrong way. That's when the panic came. I was too young to have a phone, too old to cry in public. I didn't shout. I just kept walking, looking for someone familiar. Every second made things worse. Then I heard a voice. "Hey, buddy, you okay?" I turned. It was a man, maybe late 30s, tanned, clean-shaven, wearing a red Hawaiian shirt that looked out of place. Not a park uniform, just casual. He had sunglasses pushed onto his head and carried a little paper bag of popcorn. He crouched slightly, hands on his knees. "You look a bit lost. You with your family?" I nodded. "Want help finding them?" I should have said no, but I was 7. I didn't know better. And something about the way he smiled, too relaxed, made it easy to nod again. "All right," he said, standing. "Let's try the main plaza. They might be waiting there. What's your dad's name?" "Marco," I said. "Perfect," he said quickly. "I thought I saw you with Marco earlier." "Thought so." That felt right, didn't it? Maybe he had seen us. Maybe he really did know something. He held out the bag. "Popcorn. You can have it. There's a drink stand on the way, too." I took it. He didn't touch me. Not once. He didn't try to grab my hand or shoulder. He just walked next to me, slowly, like we were in no rush. Asked where we were staying, what rides I'd done. Told me he used to come here with his kid, only they were older now. I didn't say much. Just chewed and nodded. The weird part, I wasn't scared. Not at first. We walked past the big lazy river, under a bridge, and I started to feel something. A strange kind of fog in my chest. Like I was too calm. Like I'd swallowed something warm and heavy and wrong. He kept smiling. "Almost there," he said. "You like Fanta? I'll get you one." That's when I saw the lifeguard. He was tall, tan, with a whistle around his neck and reflective sunglasses. standing near the kids' splash zone, looking at a clipboard. I ran. I didn't even say anything. I just bolted from the man's side and rushed toward the lifeguard like I'd spotted a lifeboat in a storm. The man didn't yell after me, didn't chase. He walked up behind me, calmly, as I grabbed the lifeguard's arm and stammered out, "I lost my dad. I can't find him." The lifeguard turned. The man said, "It's okay. I'm with them. I know his dad. Marco, right? Family friends." The lifeguard frowned. "Where are the parents now?" "Probably near the lockers," the man said smoothly. I told him I'd help look. The lifeguard nodded, but not entirely. He tilted his head slightly. "What's your name, sir?" "Daniel," the man said instantly. "Can I see your wristband?" The man paused. He wasn't wearing one. All guests at Siam Park had to wear colored wristbands, yellow for adults, blue for kids. It got you into rides and let you rent lockers. "Oh, I must have left it with my towel," Daniel said, scratching his neck. "I came to get popcorn." The lifeguard's posture changed. Not dramatic, just enough. "All right, I'll take the boy from here." "Thank you." Daniel nodded. "Sure, yeah, just trying to help." Then he walked away. Not fast, not angry, just gone. The lifeguard led me to the central office. My parents were already there, my mom crying, my dad pacing. I ran to them, still holding the half-empty popcorn bag. They didn't even ask where I got it, just hugged me for minutes straight. I told them I got lost, left out the man. I don't know why. Part of me thought I'd done something wrong. 10 years later, I told the story. We were at a family dinner, and someone brought up the trip. I said, "Remember when I got lost at Siam Park? That guy helped me, Daniel or something." My dad froze mid-bite. "What guy?" he asked. I told them the whole thing. The Hawaiian shirt, the popcorn, the lie about knowing my dad. My dad looked sick. He stood up and walked to the sink. "Dad," I asked. He looked back at me. "What name did he use?" "Marco," I said. "He said he saw me with you." My dad stared for a second. Then he said, "No one at that park knew my name. Not even the staff. I booked everything under your mom's name." I frowned. He said Marco. He got it right. "No," my dad said, voice low. "He didn't." He walked to the closet and pulled out an old duffel bag, dug around for a minute, then came back with a photo album. He opened it to a picture of me and him at the water park. He pointed. "You called me Marco back then. Remember? That stupid nickname you came up with." I laughed, surprised. "Yeah, that's what you called me. Always. That's what your sister called me, too. And when your mom joked about it, she'd say it in a fake Spanish accent. Where's Marco?" No one else knew that. I stopped laughing. He looked at me. "Are you sure he said Marco? Not Marco?" My stomach dropped. I couldn't remember anymore. I wasn't sure. And if he had said Marco, then he'd been watching us before I got lost. I didn't sleep that night. A few days later, I searched online. Tenerife missing children. Siam Park missing kid. Waterpark abductions. 3 results popped up from 2004 to 2006. 3 kids. 1 girl, 2 boys. All under 10. One of them disappeared from Siam Park. Same summer we went. Same week. Never found. I still think about the man sometimes. The way he didn't pull me. Didn't scare me. Just walked beside me like he had all the time in the world. That's what chills me now. The patience. The calm. The popcorn and soda. He waited. And if that lifeguard had taken a break, or looked the other way, or if I hadn't spotted him in time, I might have walked right out of that park with Daniel. And vanished. Just like the others. There wasn't supposed to be anything scary about the lazy river. That was the whole point of it, right? It's not a ride, not a slide, not even something you really do. It's just floating. Just warm water, slow currents, and sun on your face while your skin goes wrinkly. I was 13 the summer my mom took us to Florida. Not Orlando or the theme parks. We couldn't afford that. We stayed at a beachfront resort south of Daytona, one of those all-inclusive places with wristbands and unlimited slushies. It was her way of resetting things after the divorce. Just her, me, and my 2 younger sisters, Alexis, who was 9, and Zoe, who was barely 6 and afraid of everything, including pool drains. It was our second day, mid-July, brutally hot. My mom gave me one job. Keep an eye on the girls while she went to the bar to grab drinks and check in for the sunset dinner cruise we were supposedly taking that night. So I did what any teenager would do. I said, sure, then let my sisters drift way too far ahead while I half floated on a tube, barely paddling, thinking about some boy I liked from back home. The lazy river looped around the resort in this perfect, slow oval. Parts of it were open and bright. Others dipped under fake rock overhangs or past fake jungle plants. There were maybe 20 people floating when we got in. It felt calm, until it didn't. I just passed the big waterfall when I realized I couldn't see my sisters. I sat up in my tube, looked ahead. Nothing. No Zoe's bright green flow tie. No Alexis's striped swimsuit. I turned around. Nothing behind me either. Panic didn't slam into me all at once. It rose slowly, like the water. I figured they probably went ahead. I kicked a little to catch up. Nothing. No yelling, no screaming. Just the soft splash of other tubes and faraway music. Then someone spoke behind me. "You lose your crew?" I turned. He was maybe late 30s, tan and lean, with a white visor and short hair. He had this square-jawed, clean-shaven kind of face that might have been handsome if I weren't a kid. His swim trunks were normal, blue with little orange fish on them. He was floating on his own tube, arms resting casually behind his head. Yeah, I said awkwardly. "Little sisters?" I blinked. "Yeah, thought I saw you with them. One had a lime green flow tie, right?" That made me pause. "Yeah," I said. He smiled. "Don't worry. They're probably up ahead. Want help looking?" I should have said no. I should have gotten out of the water right then. But he sounded calm, normal, grown up, and I didn't want to seem rude or scared. "Okay," I said. We started floating. At first, he didn't talk much. Just looked around as we drifted under a footbridge. I told him they were probably near the snack stand by now. He nodded. Then he started talking again. "Light stuff. Where you guys from? You ever been to Florida before? You like dogs?" That last one was weird, but I answered. I said I liked them fine. He smiled. "Cool. I have a whole bunch of animal toys in my room. Realistic ones. They look alive. You'd like them." That made something twist in my chest. I didn't respond. We floated under a shaded part of the river, where a fake palm canopy blocked most of the sun. It was quiet there, just us and a couple way behind. Then he reached over and touched my leg. Not a grab, not rough, just a light tap, just above the knee. "You look like my niece," he said. Same serious face. I pulled my legs in, tucked them up onto the tube, tried to smile politely, and said, "I should probably go find my mom." He frowned slightly. "We're almost there. I bet your sisters are right around this next bend." I nodded, but I was done. I kicked my heels over the side, trying to paddle a bit faster. He kept pace. "You're shy, huh?" he said, voice lower. "That's cute." That's when my stomach turned fully. It wasn't nerves anymore. It wasn't misunderstanding. It was danger. We passed under another bridge, this one made to look like a tiki hut. Ahead was a bend in the river that curved toward the back half of the resort where fewer people swam. I could see that it was emptier. He said, "I stay on the top floor. You should come see the view." That's when I felt eyes on me. I looked to the left. There was a couple floating nearby, mid-30s maybe, both in wide-brimmed hats. The woman was staring at me. Hard. Not panicked, not dramatic, just focused. She made a tiny movement, tilted her head, then mouthed something. "Are you okay?" My throat locked up. I couldn't speak, but I shook my head just barely. Her expression changed instantly. She sat up, nudged her partner. I turned back and the man, he was closer. Our tubes were nearly touching. I did the only thing I could think of. I yelled, "Oh, there's my mom." And I kicked, hard, splashing water as I shoved my tube sideways and paddled toward the wall. I scrambled out, bare feet slapping against the wet concrete, and ran. Didn't look back. Didn't say thank you. Just ran. I found my sisters near the locker station, sitting cross-legged and eating Dippin' Dots like nothing had happened. They didn't even know I'd been gone. I stood there, dripping, shaking, too stunned to even yell at them. My mom came back a few minutes later, asked if everything was okay. I nodded. I didn't tell her. Not then. I was scared she'd blame me. I told her years later. I was in college by then. She went pale, said we should have reported him, asked if I remembered what he looked like. I didn't, not well. Just the square jaw, the white visor, the calm voice, the way he didn't touch me like a monster. Just lingered. Floaters, they call people like that sometimes. Men who use water parks and lazy rivers to drift beside kids. Who act like family, just helpful enough not to raise alarms. Who wait. I still float sometimes. Still visit pools. But I never let my legs hang loose. And when I see a man talking to a kid who looks even a little nervous, I watch. Because I remember the woman in the lazy river. She didn't scream. She didn't accuse. She just saw something wrong and let me know. That's what saved me. That, and the fact that I still knew how to run. I still remember the smell of chlorine and plastic balloons. It was my 13th birthday, a Sunday in late August, just before school started. My mom had rented out the pool room at the community center in town, the kind of place with those giant glass windows and vending machines that barely worked. Not fancy, but perfect for a party. There were string lights, pizza boxes, music playing off a Bluetooth speaker that kept cutting out. My best friends showed up, along with half my swim team, and 2 girls from band I barely knew. For 13, it was perfect. Almost. We swam for hours. Marco Polo, water basketball, handstands. We had races across the shallow end. At some point, one of the lifeguards joined in for a cannonball contest. The adults sat outside the windows watching with paper plates on their laps, occasionally snapping photos. It was late in the afternoon when I went in to change. Most of the other girls were still in the water or hovering by the food table. I wanted to get dry before cake and pictures. The locker room was quiet when I walked in, just a hum of overhead fans and the sound of running water somewhere in the back. The changing stalls were just basic fiberglass partitions with plastic doors that didn't lock quite right. They didn't go all the way to the ceiling or the floor. I picked one in the middle row, tossed my towel over the door, and shut it behind me. Inside, I peeled off my wet suit, shivering a little in the sudden cold. Then I saw it. A face above the stall, just the eyes and forehead peeking down from over the partition. For a split second, I didn't understand. My brain couldn't place it. I thought maybe it was one of the girls playing a joke. Then the eyes moved, slow and silent, and vanished. Gone. I stood there frozen, chest tight, holding my towel against me. I didn't breathe for a long second. Didn't move. Did that just happen? I waited. Listened. Nothing. No voice. No footsteps. Just the soft hum of the vent and the distant slosh of the pool outside. I wrapped the towel around me and stood there in the stall for what felt like minutes. Every tiny sound made my muscles tense. Finally, I told myself it had to be a mistake. Maybe a shadow. Maybe I imagined it. I started getting dressed again, slowly. Pulled on my dry clothes, shorts, t-shirt. My hands were still damp and shaky. I remember struggling with the bra clasp, cursing it under my breath. Then I heard the faintest creak. I looked up. He was back. This time his whole face was visible, head angled downward, neck straining, mouth slightly open. Watching. And he wasn't a kid. He was an adult. Not old. Maybe 30, 40. Short hair. Pale skin. His eyes locked on mine. And he didn't flinch. He just stared. That time, I didn't freeze. That time, I moved. My flip-flop was on the floor near my feet. I grabbed it in one hand and, without thinking, hurled it straight up at him with everything I had. It hit, with a sickening thud. He let out a grunt and fell backward out of sight. I didn't wait. I yanked on my shorts and shoved the door open so hard it banged into the stall next to mine. My heart was pounding so loud it felt like the only thing I could hear. I half ran, half stumbled out of the changing area, sandals barely on my feet, hair dripping down my back. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just kept walking, fast, right back to the party. The others were crowding around the cake table. My mom was cutting slices with a plastic knife. Someone was trying to relight the candles because the wind from the AC vent kept blowing them out. No one noticed how quiet I was. I stood next to the drinks cooler, pretending to sip soda, eyes locked on the hallway. I kept expecting him to come out, walk past like nothing happened. He never did. I never told anyone. Not that day. Not the next. I don't know why. Fear, maybe. Shame. The belief that no one would believe me. Or worse, they'd say it was just a mistake. That I made it up. That I was confused. Dramatic. I told myself he probably worked there. That it was over. That I was fine. But I never went back to that community center. Even when they reopened the pool after renovations, even when my younger cousin had her party there years later, I stayed away. I told my mom about it when I was 19. She cried. She asked why I didn't say anything. I didn't have a good answer. I still don't. A year later, during a class project in college, I had to research public safety regulations. Out of curiosity, I looked up the records for that same community center. There were reports, incidents, anonymous complaints from parents. Notes about possible voyeurism in the locker room area. One particular sentence stayed with me. No clear camera coverage in individual changing stalls. Limited visibility due to partition height. A blind spot. He knew. He waited. People talk about the big, dramatic stuff when it comes to danger. The chases, the kidnappings, the fights. But it's the quiet violations that rot inside you. The moments no one sees. The seconds that leave a permanent shadow. I never saw his face clearly, but I remember his mouth, slightly open, like he was breathing through it. And I remember the feeling afterward. Not fear. Not right away. It was filth, like something had soaked into my skin. That's what he stole from me. Not my body. Not even my birthday. He took safety, and I've spent every day since trying to get it back. Some people say a night job is peaceful. I used to say that too. The quiet, the solitude, the rhythm, it helped. After the breakup, I needed a clean start, and I didn't mind being alone. That's how I ended up working night security at Pacific Splash Waterpark, just outside Mission Bay. They'd shut down for the season. That meant no guests, no screaming kids, no pop music echoing off the pavement. Just rows of dry slides, drained pools, locked food courts, and sodium floodlights buzzing above plastic palm trees. There were two of us on duty, me and a guy named Ray. He was older, probably late 50s, with a limp and a coffee thermos that never left his hand. We split rounds. I took the perimeter and the maintenance halls. He took the tower staircases and inner buildings. By the third night, Ray didn't show. No call. No heads up. Just gone. The supervisor said he quit. No reason. I figured it was personal stuff. Family, health, whatever. Now, I'm not so sure. Night 4, I was alone. At first, nothing felt different. I still clocked in at 9:57 p.m. Took the ring of keys, the company walkie, and did my first circuit under the humming floodlights. The place was eerie, yeah, but not scary. You get used to seeing places when they're off. The wave pool was dry. The water slides looked like giant, coiled ribs. The food court had chairs stacked on tables and faded posters peeling from the walls. It was just empty. But then I started noticing the doors. The first one was to the chlorine storage shed. I locked it myself before midnight. An hour later, it was wide open. No wind. No animals. I shut it again. Triple checked. 2 hours later, I came back around and found the maintenance tunnel door ajar. It creaked slowly in the breeze, like a cliche. I started thinking maybe someone was sneaking in. Homeless, maybe. Or vandals. So I started making rounds faster. Stayed alert. That's when things got worse. Night 6, I brought a flashlight. The park lights didn't reach every corner, and I didn't like how dark it got near the high dive platform and the staff lounge. Around 3 a.m., I did my usual loop past the lockers and up toward the elevated staircase that leads to the biggest slide in the park, the Sky Spiral. It's this massive corkscrew of a slide that starts 4 stories up. The stairs were supposed to be chained off, but that night, I noticed the chain was down. Then I saw him, standing motionless at the top of the stairs. Not a blur, not a trick of light. A man, barefoot, shirtless, arms at his sides, head tilted slightly like he was listening. I froze. The beam from my flashlight didn't reach that far. I clicked the radio. Nothing but static. Then something moved beside him. Lower. Crawling. I thought at first it was a shadow, maybe a dog. But it was a person. On all fours, elbows and knees, moving like it hurt. I backed away. Slowly. Neither of them followed. Not yet. I didn't run, not right away. I told myself I had to stay professional. Had to follow procedure. Called dispatch. Reported. But I didn't. I hid. I went straight into the nearest building, the lifeguard locker area, and locked myself in the bathroom. I sat on the sink for 30 minutes, flashlight in my lap, door dead bolted. I listened. Footsteps? I don't know. Creaks? Could have been the walls expanding. I don't know. Finally, I called my supervisor. He didn't answer, but I left a message. Rambling. Panicked. Someone's in the park. 2 of them. One on the platform. One crawling. The next morning, I didn't clock out. I just left. I expected to be fired. I wasn't. The supervisor called me that afternoon. He was calm. Too calm. Said he checked the footage. Said he had something I should see. The footage wasn't great. Grainy, low resolution, silent. But it didn't matter. Because he showed me. First clip. Me walking by the lockers near 12:45 a.m. Rewind. Behind me, maybe 15 feet back, movement. A man crouching behind a vending machine. Motionless. Watching. Next clip. Me adjusting the chain on the staircase. Pause. Zoom. In the shadows behind the tower, a figure on all fours, waiting. Every clip he showed me, it was the same. They were always just out of reach. Just behind a wall, just beyond a gate. Moving when I wasn't looking. And the worst one? It was from night 5. I'm sitting in the security hut, flipping through the logbook. The window behind me is dark, but in one frame, just one, you can see a face. Pressed against the glass. Looking in, and smiling. I didn't quit. I vanished. I didn't pick up my last check. Didn't go back for my gloves. Changed my number. Took a landscaping job with daylight hours and no buildings taller than a ladder. I've only told 2 people this story. Neither of them believed me. I wouldn't believe me either if it weren't for the screenshot. My supervisor texted it, saying, "Do you want this for the report?" It shows me locking the stair gate. And just behind me, barely visible, crouched low beside the metal railing, is the crawler. Arms bent like an insect. Knees turned sideways. Face angled up toward the camera. Like he knew it was there. Like he wanted to be seen.